Hey, welcome to the series of everything you need to know about Python in simplest possible way. In this video, we will discuss about iterative statements, also referred as loops. Iterative statements are used whenever we want to execute a block of code more number of times. In such case, we will use iterative statements. So in Python, we have two different iterative statements. One is while loop, another one is for loop. So before in this video, we will discuss about while loop. So before going to while loop, we will understand the necessity of loops or also referred as iterative statements. So let's say you wanted to execute a block of code. So I am considering a block of code. Welcome, welcome to my channel. So and I also wanted to print like mhm, I wanted to print like and I also wanted to print subscribe. So this is the block of code. I wanted to execute this block of code three number of times. So in general, when we wanted to execute this block of code three number of times, we will just copy paste those block of code three number of times, right? That is what we generally do. If I execute this, I am getting the result, the block of code with three number of times, like welcome to my channel, like and subscribe, welcome to my channel, like subscribe, like this I am getting three number of times. But when you are writing a same code more number of times, that is considered as code redundancy. You are writing same code multiple times, so that is not so appreciated. So because of that reason, we are going for iterative statements. So I will show how we can write this one single block of code more number of times. So first we will understand how we can write more number of how we can write one time and print three number of times. After that we will understand while loop syntax. So in such case we will understand the syntax more effectively. So first I am using while. While is a keyword to write iterative statement, right? So I am putting, so before while I need to have the how many number of times that I need to execute this block of code, right? So because of that reason, the initial value, I am taking an initial value here. Initial value I am taking as 0. I am taking as 1. So next I will mention the condition here. So how many number of times I need to execute the block of code? The condition is initial value less than or equal to less than or equal to 3. So I want to execute this block of code three number of times. Because of that reason I am mentioning 3 here. So I am just copying the code that what we wanted to execute three number of times. So this is the code we wanted to execute three number of times, right? So next what I'm going to do is that I am incrementing this initial value with one number of times. So this is the shortcut that we will be using to mention initial initial value equal to initial value plus 1. So this is the shortcut that we will be using to mention this particular statement, initial value is equal to initial value plus 1. This is we have discussed in assignment operators. So if you are not if you are not aware of this, I will suggest to go through it and watch that video. So this is how we can actually define and execute the same block of code more number of times. In this case we will be executing the block of code three number of times. If I execute this, I am getting the result, welcome to my channel, three number of times, welcome to my channel, like subscribe, three number of times. So how does it work? So let us go ahead and understand this particular thing. So here I am mentioning initial value as 1. Here I am mentioning the condition, how many number of times that I wanted to execute. I am mentioning 3 here. So this is okay, this is fine. But how it was iterating three number of times is that I am increasing this initial value plus 1 each time. In such case, it was incremented. So to make you understand more clearly, I will print this initial value. So if I print initial value here, here I am getting 1, here I am getting 2, here I am getting 3. So whenever the initial value is incremented, it will come to here and check the condition. Initially it was having the value 1, it was check the condition 1 is less than or equal to 3. That is true. Because of that reason, it entered into the block of code. So next it was incremented with 1. So later it was checked, it became 2. So then it was checked with initial value, which is 2 less than or equal to 3, which is true, and then it was entered into the block and it was incremented again, then it became 3. So it again checks 3 is less than or equal to 3, 3 equal to 3. Because of that reason, it was again entered into the block of code and executed this block of code. So I hope you have understood this. Now we will discuss about the syntax. So now you can able to understand more clearly how the syntax works. So to define, I will first write the while. While is a keyword to define while loop. So here I will be mentioning condition, which condition, if this condition is true, then only I will be entering to the block. So if this condition is true, I will be entering for block of code which is defined for while loop. So in this block of code, you need to mention one more thing, which each time that changes this condition. If you consider here, we are mentioning one statement by incrementing the initial value every time. So that kind of a condition you need to mention. I will consider that as a statement to change the to not to change statement to affect the condition. So it is what that affecting the condition. So affect the condition. So if this is not there in your block of code, what happens? Let's take this example and I will show you what happen if you don't put this particular statement here. So I am removing this statement and I also removing these statements so that you will be seeing only this initial value. So every time it will go and check and print this initial value as long as the condition is true. I am executing this statement and you can see 111 and it was printing continuously and it was not stopping anywhere. So if you could see here we are having this kernel. So kernel is having with dot because when it become dot is that when some code is executing, it was showing as dot. Here also you can see star mark here, which was telling this block of code is executing. So now the program is in infinite loop. To stop the program from infinite loop, I am doing this button. I am pressing this button, interrupt the kernel. So as and when I interrupt the kernel, it became the value as 7. So if we go and see at last, we are getting this kind of thing. So keyboard interruption, because by using this thing, we are interrupting this kernel. I wanted to show you this was entering into the infinite block. So it was continuously printing the value 1 because it the while loop does not having anything to change this condition and to make this condition as false. So that is the main thing that you need to have in mind whenever you are writing this condition. You need to have a statement that affects the condition. After some iterations, the condition must become false, then only it will come out of that loop. And if not there that kind of condition, it will go to the infinite loop like this what we have seen. So I hope you have understood this while loop, and with one more example I will make you to understand more clearly. So I am considering a problem statement. So I will consider a problem statement, and the problem statement is that I wanted to print first n natural numbers, not to print sum of first n natural numbers. How we can do that? Let us go ahead and see. So I am taking an initial value as 0. So I wanted to print first sum of first n natural numbers. Because of that reason, first value that I am taking is 0. So I wanted to print sum, right? I want sum. So because of that reason, I am taking a variable addition is equal to 0. Now I am taking the input from how many from for how many number I need to print, I need to calculate the sum. So because of that reason, I am reading input from the user. I want integer. Because of that reason, I am mentioning it as int. So I am reading input, enter the number. So the user will give the number. Based on that number, I need to calculate the sum. So now I will be mentioning, while here I will be mentioning the condition. So I am checking initial value less than or equal to number that user giving. So here I will be I am calculating the addition less equal to, I am adding addition with initial value. Next, what I am going to do is that I am going to print this addition so that you can see in the output, right? Addition is, I am printing the addition as addition. So next I will be incrementing the initial value, because based on the initial value only my condition is depending. So because of that reason, I am incrementing this initial value plus equal to 1. So I am also printing this initial value. Initial initial value initial value is, so I am printing this initial value. Next, at last, I am printing out of the loop. I am printing this addition, that what we have got. So if I execute this, it was asking for input. If I give 5, I am getting the total output as 15. In middle, you can see the result as something like this. So initially, how the process is happening in this while loop is that, so to illustrate, I have printed this particular addition and initial value. Now you can able to understand, initially, as and when the process is started, the initial value is 0. That is what we have assigned here. So initial value is 0 and the addition is 1. So sorry, addition is 0. That is what we have defined here, and the initial value becomes 2. How it initial value becomes 2 is that initial value initially having 0, 0 is less than number which is of 5, 0 is less than 5, that becomes true and enter into this, and addition is 0 because 0 plus 0 will be 0 because addition 0, and then it will increment the initial value and it print the initial value. Because of that reason, I am getting initial value as 1. So as initial value is incremented with 1, the initial value here will be 1. So 1 is less than 5, which is true. And again, it come into the loop, and the addition now 0 plus 1 initial addition, which is initial addition, and the initial value will become 1. So now you can see the 1 here. Now then the initial value is incremented. So initial value became 2, and it again check the condition 2 is less than or equal to 5, which is true. Then the initial value is added to the addition. Now the addition becomes 3. So initial value also incremented. So as and when the initial value is incremented, it will check the condition here 3 is less than or equal to 5, which is true. So it will again add that initial value to addition. Initial addition previously 3, now the initial value added to 3, that becomes 6. Then initial value is incremented with 1, which becomes 4. Then it check the condition 4 is less than or equal to 5, which is true. Because of that reason, addition is added with initial value 6 plus 4, that becomes 5. Then we will be again incrementing this initial value with 1, that becomes 5. As and when this becomes 5, it was checking the condition 5 is less than or equal to 5, which is true. Then it was coming inside and adding to the addition. Then we are getting 15. Previously we have addition 10. Now with adding 5, we are getting the result as 15. So again later the initial value is incremented with 1. Because of that reason, we are getting 6. As and when we are getting 6, we are checking the condition initial value less than or equal to 5. Initial value is 6 less than or equal to 5, which is false. Because of that reason, this is coming out of the loop. When this coming out of the loop, we have one statement of addition. So that is what this statement is, the total sum. So I hope you have understood this problem statement. You have understood this flow. To understand this flow only, I am printing all these values. I hope you have understood that as well. So that's it for this video. In this video, we have discussed about iterative statements, while loop, and why we use iterative statements to reduce that redundancy of code by mentioning that iterative statements. Here we have discussed this with while loop, and we have discussed the syntax, and also we have discussed this sum of first 10 natural numbers problem. So in our next video we will discuss about for loop. Thank you for watching this video. If you find this video interesting and helpful, if you understood this video, hit the like button and subscribe for more this kind of videos. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.